Now, the thing about Evi is he is a big carry player. This team, during the regular season, found a lot of their success playing through the top side of the map, getting Evi ahead, and when you put this man onto champions like Camille, he's able to outperform so many of the top laners within his region, and he really is impressive to watch, which is why we're seeing the ban come through.
Yep, also an Aatrox ban there for Detonation Focus Me. It joined Zillion and Rakan, so kind of a sprinkling of target bans there for DFM. Heimerdinger once again, though, will be banned away from Ceros. Camille is also taken away from Evi, and I don't think he'll be getting it too many times here in the initial part of playing. And there's actually an Akali ban for Cloud9, so I wanted to keep that out of their hands as well.
Now, the Urgot is available. This wasn't something that Evi played a huge amount of. He often played things like the Gnar, the Camille, the Fiora. He played a lot of split pushes during the regular season, but it looks like right now they are comfortable first picking it. Now, Cloud9 are known for their creative picks, and I wonder coming into the plains if they have something prepared for the Urgot, or whether or not they want to save it. If their expectations are to make it further into the tournament of the World Championship, maybe they want to hold on to that secret pick, given that they are just the creative squad.
Yeah, and again, looks like sticking the comfort here. Kaisa Alistar almost instantly for Cloud9. For continuing to give Sneaky a very strong, reliable late-game carry, and Zeyzal a comfort pick that can engage.
So they could either go for, oh, okay, they're immediately going to go for the Tahm Kench. This is the most played champion of Vivid. He has a lot of comfort on it, and it really does help against some of the engage tools that Alistar does provide. Even though Tahm Kench was nerfed once again on 819, he lost 70 base health at level 1. He is still considered a pretty solid pick in the current meta. He provides strong peel, and he's still a pretty good spot, especially into champions like Yao.
It's interesting, you mentioned it's kind of funny to see DFM still play these champions, because both of them actually received some small nerfs. So between the two lanes, they've got quite a lot of base health.
Yeah, they did. That's a very good point. This is a much weaker duo than it was before, but the damage still exists. And that's the important thing to remember, along with the wave clear, is Blaber does in fact lock in his jungler.
Yeah. While we're on comfort picks, certainly a big one for Blaber. It was often paired with the Zillion UC, so well banned there by Detonation Focus Me, and they'll continue the attack on Jensen here in the pick ban as they'll take away Rise.
So Cloud9 looking to ban away some of the comfort junglers for Steel. He often really likes skirmish ganking junglers. That's why you can see things like the Skarner being banned away. Trundle and Nocturne are another two couple of champions that he really did favor, and immediately that's why we're seeing them banned off the board. And they're happy leaving the Trundle open because Kindred considered a pretty good matchman to the Trundle, and he was too nerfed recently on one of the few patches. So Cloud9 more than happy to give that one away, and I wonder what direction Steel will go towards. Gragas is still available if they want something that's often considered pretty good in the teamfight stage against Kindred, or maybe they want to go for an early skirmisher like the ZHao, or something that can try and match her in terms of early game power.
Interesting ban there from Detonation Focus Me. Respect to Jensen Zoe of all champions. Not something he's played that much of throughout the season, but certainly a very frustrating champion to play against.
I think they're worried about a strong 2v2 from the side of Cloud9. Zoe plus Kindred means that you pretty much have control over the enemy jungle. And I just think the Detonation Focus Me want to show that respect, but we've actually got a Lissandra coming through. I'm gonna say that this is a top lane Lissandra right now. Given the fact that it was blind picked, it does have the ability to be flexed between top and mid, but they are gonna, I expect it to be in the top lane up against the Urgot, and we might see something like the Irelia played mid lane, because Ceros is known for playing champions like the Ziggs, which are just control mages, wave clear, and we know Jensen loves these kind of playmakers like the Irelia.
Yep, there is the Ziggs, a big comfort pick there for Ceros, and of course the ZHao. So Steel gets a nice aggressive jungler. And I am curious to see what this last pick is here, because Cloud9 have set themselves up well with some of this flexibility. But most of this year, Jensen has played so many utility champions. So to finally be back on the Irelia Vedius would be a sight to see indeed.
Good to see. I'm looking forward to this pick from C9. I feel like they've come in very well prepared into this draft. Something they do a lot of is early prioritize the Kaisa, get sneaky on something that doesn't necessarily win him the lane, but he knows that he can just hold his own against most matchups. They expected a control mage in the mid lane from the side of Detonation Focus Me. They expected the Urgot first pick, because there's no way they're going to give it over to Licorice. They have the Lissandra as an answer in terms of wave clear and even potential gank setup. and then they just limit the number of junglers available to try and force steal onto something like the ZHao, where he's just not as comfortable. So love the draft and the plan coming out from C9. The question is, can they now execute upon it once we get into game?
And Detonation Focus Me certainly taking comfort into battle here for this game again. They've got the power in the Urgot, which we expect to see probably 100% throughout the tournament. Certainly so far so good as far as pick ban goes today. And then of course Ceros taking, he always has something that is less played. He was a Zilean when no one was playing Zilean many years ago, and of course his Heimerdinger has been permabanned so far on the day. So it's nice to see his Ziggs coming out, as we also see their bot lane falling back to a lot of their comfort, as Golden Blue apparently is laughing, and now everyone's waving.
Now I am very fascinated to see how both teams will approach the game, because remember, Blaber has a lot of options. He can look to gank mid, he can look to gank top, he could even gank bot if he wants to. The Alistar does have good setup, especially once the Kaisa hits level 6 as well. So I feel like the Blaber has loads of options, but typically during the regular season, as you rightly said, he would be on these carries when you have the control mage in the mid lane to kind of assist Blaber in kind of building his own leads. And with an Irelia and the Kindred together, you have a very strong 2 versus 2. So we may just see Jensen and Blaber just kind of grouping up and looking to try and shut Steel down in the early game.
Just not in the way we have seen perhaps throughout recent memories, but again, Cloud9, a team that wants to build up reps here in play and prove that they are still a strong team, that they can go once again undefeated in this early stage of the tournament and continue their dominance from last year. But they can top the group today by beating Detonation Focus Me, but so can their opponents.
That's the important thing to remember. And for C9, the Alistar talked a little bit about it earlier in the way in which C9 didn't look super clean in their game versus Kaboom. There are a couple of members overextending, they overcommitted to a few fights, and it wasn't the cleanest game, even though they did handily beat Kaboom. And I'm sure that they'll be a little frustrated with their performance. You could argue that it was first time on stage, new environment for many of the rookie players, and you're playing against teams that have very different styles and kind of tendencies. And so now, as the tournament progresses, you imagine they're looking to have a cleaner game, and I love the way in which they approach the draft, but will they be able to pull off? Because you've got to remember that Detonation Focus Me, they found a lot of early kills against Kaboom, and Steel is the kind of guy that is not afraid to kind of fight you, look for early skirmishes, actually look to try and get a couple of early kills. So C9 have to be aware and respect that early playmaking potential from Detonation Focus Me.
Yeah, and their aggression domestically has been the thing that has really given them so much success, even though they maybe haven't won as much as the team would have liked. But certainly for a region that is otherwise relatively slow, Detonation Focus Me are the ones to buck that trend.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've said it before, and I won't say
I'll hear it again.
Detonation Focus Me is the most aggressive team that we've ever seen on an international stage from the side of Japan, my apologies. And it's really great to see, because for so long they always went for this kind of scaling approach, very slow, much more on the team fight side of things. But Detonation Focus Me during the regular season were often really strong. They would make their way to the finals, but then they would always choke in that situation. And now they finally made it onto the world stage. And in game 1, they showed a lot of aggression. And they picked a bad team fight, they fell behind, and yes, they did get a lucky Baron, that's what it was. But at the same time, they were able to pull out a win. And you hope that in the same vein to Cloud9, it was just a bit of nerves for them in the early game. And we'll be able to see if they're able to pull off a bit of that early aggression and find a...
Blaber off to a good start, gets the mark on the left side of the jungle, but Steel living up to his name. Gonna sneak away that blue buff.
He has pressure in the bot side of the map. You can also see that Ceros doing a pretty good job wave clearing in the mid lane with his Ziggs, and that means that he was able to quickly run over and steal away the blue buff. He did red straight into blue, gets himself the Scuttle Crab as well, and he's a pretty happy jungler right now.
Yeah, looks like Blaber will have to settle for Constellation Gromp as Steel is over to his Raptors, and we'll see how much of his red side he clears. And Yutapon and Vivid playing up and aggressive, kind of as expected in a lot of Varus lanes, especially versus Kaisa.
Yep.
One of the reasons that it is risky to first pick Kaisa is that she doesn't do too much in the early laning stages.
This is another invade coming out from Steel. Remember that Ceros pushing in mid.
There it is, Steel getting the damage. That's going to force the flash from Blaber. Normally he's the one doing that to other people. Now it's Steel right in his face.
So this was the early game aggression that we were talking about. Ceros getting some really good trades against Jensen as well. While I often consider Irelia to be a good matchup into many control mages, the obnoxious thing about Ziggs is the passive damage that he has on his auto attacks every couple of seconds can be really a big nuisance against melee champions. So Ceros utilizing that to his advantage and really forcing Jensen pretty low so far in the early lane.
Yeah, and look, you might be great in a duel as Irelia, but you're not good in the wave clear department relative to a Ziggs. So Ceros using that pressure and giving Steel some space to able to get that invade down, not once but twice, as he finally grabs his own blue buff for once. And he's going to continue rampaging here towards the top lane.
And remember that Ceros' wave clear is only going to get stronger as he collects more mana. And I'd love to see him use that pressure to help Steel go for more invade. So we see a bit of a gank in the mid lane.
Oh, Ceros really good step forward, but the damage might still be enough. Blaber's there looking to commit. Does not have the flash, but needed one more auto.
Here comes Steel.
And again, still first blood on the table, dives on the Blaber. Jensen wants to turn around, but it's tough. Knock up lands, but Steel now is going to get chased down. Jensen looks for it, is going to force the flash.
The crucial thing there was that Jensen was able to stack up his passive so that he had the max stacks, and that damage was enough to be able to turn the fight around. They were in a 2 versus 1, and I respect Steel for seeing 2 low health members and thinking, you know what, I think I can get a kill here, but unfortunately for him, it wasn't quite the case. Now, Vivid has joined the fray, flashing in for Blaber.
Blaber, no flash. Remember, Vivid going to heal up and going to try and devour Blaber, but he does get the hop away. The last Q lands, but it's not a stun, and Blaber makes it out safely.
And that's flash and heal used from Vivid.
Not stopping.
No advantage gain. Here comes Zeyzal.
Alley-oop, Zeyzal. No, he doesn't pull the trigger on the boss cone.
But this was the aggression that we were talking about from DetonatioN Focus Me. Kind of catching Cloud9 off guard a little bit, as we saw a lot of early summoner spells burnt from the side of C9. But they're trying to make some plays of their own. Blaber ganking the mid lane, trying to put Ceros behind. He now no longer has flash. So this means that this mid lane matchup is going to get very spicy over the next couple of minutes, because both junglers should look to make a return visit and see if they can get their own mid laner ahead.
Well, top lane this time for Blaber. It's been his protocol a lot here.
Gonna
But Licorice, he's going to get away. There's the snare. Blaber still going to get the damage down. Evi low, and Blaber going to grab first blood.
And Evi ran out of mana. He wanted to get the quick level 6 ulti onto Licorice, try and get himself the solo kill, but because he couldn't use that ultimate, he couldn't find the solo kill, and he ends up giving away his life. The idea was good. Unfortunately, the execution wasn't there.
He's going to leave Jensen into some trouble. Or watch it again. Licorice again playing with fire, baiting Evi in.
And there it is. He didn't have enough mana. So unfortunate there for Evi. If Blaber wasn't there, maybe, just maybe, he's able to find the kill. But the jungler was there in support. C9 read the play, and they were able to find themselves first blood.
Got to think a level ahead. Unsealed Spellbook, swap to Clarity, get the mana, then do the all-in.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right.
I was shocked, by the way, when I tested out Spellbook and found that Clarity was still some of the spell that I could take in the game. Fun every now and then. Unfortunately for Evi, for whatever reason, wasn't something presented to him, and it does go down as Blaber continues to kind of leave his imprint here on the game.
And that would have been so big, right? For Evi to not only get a solo kill onto Licorice, but for him to kind of find an advantage in this lane where Licorice is praised for his lane dominance and ability to find his own leads. It would have been such a great momentum boost for DetonatioN Focus Me, but as we were talking about, Blaber read the play. He was there to back up his top laner. They end up turning around the play, and now C9, bit of an early goal lead. They're doing well in terms of the farm. They've gotten themselves the first kill of the game. And things still looking pretty positive for C9, even after all the aggressive moves that we've seen from DetonatioN Focus.
Yeah, and this lane is pushing away from Ceros. That is dangerous territory.
But he's Ziggs, so he can farm from that far away.
You're right. Not so dangerous now by the looks of things. So Steel, again, still using that wave push pressure to get some invades here. He's going to see the blue buff once again. Instantly moves in for the Steel. Has 4 members converging on this objective. DetonatioN Focus Me. They're ready for a fight if C9 want to pick one.
Vivid is hanging around.
Blast Cone, he's going to move Vivid over the wall. Also Infernal Drake up for grabs. They're going to get the Scuttle Crab here and did successfully steal the blue. Looks like Ceros may have been the recipient as well So successful steal plus donation, always nice.
Yeah, he lost a bit of farm, which will result in a bit of gold as well. And Jensen will be able to go back to base. So what I imagine is Ceros may use his ultimate here to quickly clear this wave, force the wave underneath the tower, and then go back to base. But given that he's still sitting on it, he's just going to rely on his QE combo. And then I imagine he's going to go back to base and spend some of his gold. Interestingly, you can see he's actually gone for the double Dark Seal build into the Corrupting Potion as well. So definitely going for a heavy sustain lane against the Irelia.
Like you said, doesn't really want to interact too much, just wants to throw bombs at the wave and kind of leave it around, which is giving Steel, again, all this space to be active. Blaber, though, never one to shy away from a proactive jungle play, is having a look here in the darkness of the top left-hand side, but is going to walk over a ward.
I love seeing the dance of these two junglers, both just not afraid to use the pressure that they have on the map to try and just constantly threaten the enemy jungler. Now, DFM know this is happening. They have all three members collapsing on the blue buff. We're going to see a fight.
Yeah, Jensen here first, though. Blaber looking to try and steal it away. Blue buff, though, goes over. Evi going to dive in. Does get the shock down. Actually moves it back through. And that's a kill. Evi through the Kindred ult. He's going to get the snipe with the ulti. And now a 2v3. But Jensen with a massive Vanguard's edge is going to take down Steel. Licorice, though, is low. Already popped the ulti. So he's going to claw over the wall and will get out to safety.
Great turnaround there from Jensen, throwing out the ultimate and knowing that he has the damage combined with Licorice to at least get a kill and get away with his life. Ends up being a 1-for-1, as you see a bit of trading in the bot lane.
Zeyzal pulls early. Yutapon now going to pull the trigger on the ulti. Nice headbutt, though, to zone the AD away. Plasma starting to stack up a sneaky. Forced to run back with his support under the turret. Zeyzal low, the pressure mounting here in the 2v2.
Good trade, and Sneaky falling much further behind than he did against the bottom lane of Kaboom. Just goes to show how aggressive they're willing to play. Ceros now against Jensen.
Great stun there again from Jensen, but no follow-up there with ult already down from the last engage. So will just be some harass instead onto the Corrupting Potion double Dark Seal. Catalyst Ziggs now.
Definitely going for the same build, but here we are. We saw the ward earlier on from DetonatioN Focus Me. The ulti from Evi, he knew that with the Ignite there would be more than enough damage to drag him out, and they felt at this point they could continue on with the chase. You have the heal from Ziggs, you have the ulti from Ziggs, but there's the combined damage of a Lissandra and an Irelia. And smartly, Jensen holds onto his W to mitigate a lot of the burst damage that came out from Ceros' ultimate and Evi that was just firing off his shotgun legs into the face of Jensen. So 1-for-1, as we were saying, Cloud9 now sitting at a pretty healthy gold lead, a lot of it coming off the back of the 2 kills that they picked up and the lane advantages that they found in both mid and top. So as we said, even though a lot of early game aggression coming out from the side of DFM, we're seeing C9 and Set and often coming out on top.
Looks like items starting to get completed as well. We've got a Blade of the Ruined King already done for Yutapon, and Stormrazor just picked up there for Sneaky. So perhaps the bot laners will start to get a bit more involved in the total map plays, especially again with this Infernal Drake ready to maybe be taken. Steel though is going to bite the bait and be forced to flash away. Vivid there also with the save. Going to make sure he gets out, but being low again, C9 can continue to apply pressure to this bot half of the map, or just try and take the objective.
Yeah, they can just kick off the dragon. They have push in mid. The bot lane is there to assist. There's no risk of a jungle steal. I like it a lot from Cloud9. The use of the ulti there from Steel to knock C9 out of range meant that he wouldn't lose his life and gets away just barely. Evi also putting a bit of damage down up towards the top side of the map. Another advantage gained in favor of C9. But I'm still keeping my eyes on Yutapon down in the bot lane. Remember that he was the guy that stole away the Baron against Kaboom. He also had some pretty impressive team fights as the game started to swing back in the favor of DFM. And he's really putting the pressure down onto Sneaky and Zeyzal right now as Ceros makes his way down towards the bot lane. Jungler is here as well. I think DFM have the right set on the first tower of the game.
Yeah, really like this transfer of power here from DetonatioN Focus Me. It's kind of picking the lane that, you know what, has been going the best of all three. It's been a lot of scuffling in mid and top, so instead they throw pressure down to that bot lane, but looks like not quite enough timing-wise to get that push going, so they'll unfortunately have to back away pretty quickly off that play. Although Licorice returning with his proto belt back to top side, gonna have to answer this wave. Looks like everyone in general is kind of taking some recalls and like getting the map back in order.
And to give a little bit more context on this Lissandra pick, I don't think it's necessarily a counter to the Urgot. I think it was very much the idea that they knew they wanted to pick something like an Irelia into what they expected to be a Ziggs, and so they needed AP damage to come from somewhere. And when you think of safe AP champions that can be played top lane, Rumble, Ryze are two examples, but C9 recognized that they have very little utility. So they just wanted that extra bit of CC, and I think that's the reason why we saw that Lissandra up in the top lane. And also, I think the champion just does fine into Urgot as well. As you can see in terms of the farmers, right now an engage is happening.
Steel again diving back in, but there's the stun into the proto belt. They're going to try and burst down Steel. They do grab a Blaber. Oh, he gets ulted again. Evi gets the flash forward into the fear, and that's carnage on the front side.
And a huge team fight win for Detonation Focus Me. 3 members of Cloud9 drop. Jensen, Blaber, and Licorice all die at the hands of a huge Mega Inferno Bomb from Ceros. Now they have the right set on the mid lane.
Incredible passage of play here as Yutapon even grabbed the Rift Herald. Gonna channel that up in mid and get the first turret of the game, and the best one to get as well. Ziggs even throws down the satchel just to be sure. But my goodness, what a play.
Beautiful stuff there from DFM. So let's have a look at the mini-map. You can see that right now it's just Steel by himself. Tahm Kench is on his way, but for the time being, it's a 3 versus 3. Teleport comes in from Varus, and then the ulti comes in from the Tahm Kench as well. And while Steel loses his life, he keeps the 3 members of C9 clumped up to allow the Mega Inferno Bomb from Ceros to hit all 3. Evi can use his ultimate to find himself a kill, and then the chase down comes through. DFM, with a huge team fight win, now hold themselves the gold lead against Cloud9.
And that's the reaction I expect from an Acer Predator replay. What another turnaround play from Detonation Focus Me. And our Cloud9, they were kind of building up their gold lead slowly, thinking everything was A-OK. Detonation Focus Me came to us to play, Vedius.
Oh, yes, they did.
And they are starting to test Cloud9 already.
They secured the first tower of the game as well. And, you know, they're kind of sticking to their style, which is what I love about this team. They have a strong 2v2 down towards the bot side of the map. They got a lot of comfort picks in the Ziggs, in the Tahm Kench. They got an early game skirmish jungler for Steel, which he's had a great game on. Yes, he is sitting at 0-2, but he's been the catalyst to allow the rest of his team to find a lot of these early kills. And at the same time, you've seen Evi holding his own against Licorice, getting to a point where he almost actually was able to find the solo kills. So DFM definitely putting up a strong case right now. They secure themselves the second tower of the game, finally holding themselves a bit of a solid gold lead over C9. But the important thing to remember is C9 still have scaling on their side. Ooh, exhaust thrown out there from the side of Evi. But Irelia, still really good in late game fights. Lissandra, a mage that's going to continue to scale throughout the game, and the more AP she gets, the more that one-shot potential grows as time goes by. Blaber on the Kindred, and you also have a Kaisa, one of the best late game AD carries of the game. So things definitely aren't over yet for Cloud9. Their scaling is still an option as we see another gang in mid.
Gets a good double stun, but the ult from Yutapon actually gets through it. That's an easy Mega Inferno snipe as Detonation Focus Me continue to make plays.
That was a very quick kill down onto Jensen. He even had his flash, but he could not react in time to the ulti from Yutapon. Another tower goes down. DFM continue to be proactive.
And again, we talk about Ziggs, not a champion we see that often in the mid lane. Held his own counterpick by a Jensen assassin, and is now just crushing down towers with the rest of his team and the help of his W. So with Infernal Drake coming back up in 55 seconds, pressure's continuing to mount for Detonation Focus Me. Gold lead is growing up to almost 2,500 gold ahead.
And the funny thing is, when you talk about Japan, they've never really been able to perform. When you think back to international wildcard tournaments, when you think back to play-ins, this was the team that often many regions considered a bit of a free win, because they would come in, they would play very slow, they would rely on late-game team fighting, and a lot of that was because DFM was often the strongest team in their region, but would often choke in the finals, and they couldn't qualify for these international tournaments. But now they're finally here, and now we're seeing what the strongest team in Japan is capable of doing. And a lot of it is coming off the back of Vivid with his good roam, Steel trying to be proactive, and Ceros with this comfort pick, with the signature champion in the Ziggs. C9 tried to counter pick it, and unfortunately for them, it has not worked out so far as the Infernal Drake is about to spawn.
Well, we talk about C9 leaning on their Kaisa and their scaling in this game. They would love a second Infernal to shore that up, and they will likely need it given the pressure they are currently under. But all that considered, I'm not sure they can pick a fight that they are that likely to win. We'll see if they do want to contest it for the objective, but Detonation Focus Me are going to start this up. Jensen is in position to start something here. Drake is going to go down though, Steel able to grab it. Here's a TP in, but Jensen's going to dive in. They're going to try and take him down. The Vanguard's edge out, and there's Zeyzal in the backline, gets a double knock over the pole for Sneaky. Jensen's back around from Evi, who's diving in and again has taken down Blaber. He will pay the price as he goes down as Licorice bought some time there in the middle, but his flash not used as Yutapon able to take him down, and now C9 have to run.
Going in.
Vivid again, the Abyssal Void is going to cut him down, but he was too far forward, taken out by the Kaisa. Still Steel diving in, but Jensen is able to grab that stun after the flash.
And Detonation Focus Me getting a little over eager. Ends up being a 3-for-3, but secure themselves the Infernal Drake. These team fights very close. It could have gone in DFM's favor if they hadn't overcommitted, but they had blood in their eyes, they saw more kills, they wanted to get that snowball going, and C9 effectively punished them. It all starts off with the Infernal Drake being started off by DFM, and you can see that in terms of the minion waves, it's perfectly fine for C9 to commit to this fight. The double TP comes in, and Jensen dives onto the backline with Zeyzal. Then it becomes a 4v1 on both sides of the map, but Evi secures a kill while Zeyzal doesn't. Steel is able to flash out from the damage from Licorice, so he ends up just getting chunked out as he tries to escape because the rest of C9 were too busy dealing with Evi, who found himself a kill and was holding his own in a 1v4. Then they overcommit. Steel and Yutapon aren't able to follow up, which means that they immediately turn around and find themselves another kill. So 2 for 2, Goldie's still in DFM's favor, but Evi is getting stronger and stronger, and you're seeing that without a reliable frontline on the side of Cloud9, it is very easy for Evi to just walk up to the backline and just melt through them.
And poor Blaber feels magnetized to these ultis from Over. He has died every time I've seen him on camera to fear beyond death, so certainly tough for a champion like Kindred, who is very fragile and has to rely on her ultimate to live in a lot of situations, but not reliable at all once Urgot latches in. So I like what Detonation Focus have brought to the party. They'll continue to apply that pressure as C9. Gonna have to just continue to bide their time and fight back the tides, because Detonation Focus are looking for yet another turret. Yutapon gonna tank it up, but needs another wave, I think.
Tell me, as a North American fan, you're a little surprised by the performance of DFM against C9 right now?
Yes, I think especially because, you know, C9 kind of made a few mistakes that kind of beat up Kaboom in the end of that game, and Detonation Focus Me did look like they struggled to get some of that aggression. This is a very different game. Now they're the ones being aggressive, and it's very successful. Blaber just going to instantly flash away from the righteous glory Urgot.
And I think it's just one of those things when, I think especially many Western fans, I'm definitely someone that does this as well. You think that like America, Europe, and China are all just like a league above many of the playing teams. And so coming into these tournaments, we kind of expect a clean sweep, right? And then you see DFM coming up with a very impressive performance. G-Rex as well, looking really convincing. And it's just, it's surprising. This year seems to be like a year that many of the playing teams really seem to be a cut above what we've seen in the past. I'm excited for DFM. You know, the game still can be turned around by Cloud9. They're definitely not out of this game yet. We talked a lot about their ability to scale. Irelia on 2 items is a very strong team fighter. Sneaky, you can see, has already completed his 2nd item, but I feel like this was just a much closer game than many fans expect.
I have to agree, and I think it's amazing what time does for anyone over a long enough period. NA is one of the oldest competitive regions of League of Legends, and Japan, I believe, is still the youngest. But again, enough time, enough presence on the international stage, and here we are. A potentially very dicey looking Baron, but DFM are committed.
They disengage.
Not that committed, apparently.
I think this is smart. Don't go for the 50-50. It was in complete darkness. Ooh, here we go, potential fight being started.
Looking for steal, perhaps. They are going to get the ulti down. Licorice and Sneaky, they're going to dive through. Zeyzal zoning off Evi on the other side as Vivid grabs up the jungler and protects him. And now Evi going to look to turn it back around. Another great Mega Inferno bomb. Licorice, no ulti, forced to burn the stopwatch. He's dead to Yutapon. And DFM go again. Vivid, I hear that Abyssal Voyage. Ceros, flush satchel, gets a two-man knockback. And now Evi gonna dive forward and look for the latch. Evi looks for Blaber once again, but Steel will slay Zeyzal. And once more, they've turned it around.
Another big fight win for DFM, C9. You could see what they were trying to do when DFM was split apart. If they could just blow up Steel, they could threaten the Baron. Unfortunately, they were not able to kill him because of Vivid. This guy came up so big with the Tahm Kench, keeping the jungler alive. And now, because C9 lose 2 members and the jungler's back in base, this will be a Baron from DFM.
Yep, take the 50 on the right-hand side off the table. That's all DFM after that hard work, because we'll watch this one again.
So you can see here, the eyes are on Steel. Sneaky and Licorice come around for the flank, but there's the ultimate from the ZHao, plus Vivid flashing in to keep his jungle alive, and then it's just disengaged. Now Licorice, he has no flash, no ulti, and he's only got the Zhonya's, so DFM are more than happy to commit. And at this point, they're just like, wait, just chase, just chase. Ceros is like, I can flash in, I can get the knock back. It comes through. If there was an ultimate from Tahm Kench, imagine bringing Evi into the backline, and this could have been so much worse for C9. Blaber's just barely able to get away with his life, but that's more than enough damage done for DFM to secure themselves the Baron.
Very well played, and again, they continue to go up in gold. Now 4,000 ahead with Baron for well over 2.5 minutes, and another Drake is up in 8 seconds if they want to take it in and amongst this power play. Ceros, busy pushing top lane with Ziggs, is going to walk back and rejoin the team. Kaisa continue to have to play defensive here and try and save some of these turrets from the incoming siege.
The wave clear from C9 is not the strongest. They only really have the Lissandra to hold the wave, and magic damage that much harder to wave clear against these Baron-empowered minions. You've also got to remember how strong Ziggs is in a siege, paired up with the Varus too, the amount of poke that they have when in terms of just damage. And on top of that, once the tower reaches a certain percentage, Ceros is just going to throw his satchel underneath, boom, instantly taken away. So DFM now grouping up in the mid lane. They don't care about the side lanes. They do have a slow push coming out from either side, and they're just slowly working their way onto this tower, and they're going to chip away at the health bars of C9.
Yeah, going straight for this first inhib here. Going to try and take middle. Blaber again is open Zeyzal with a big pull. There's Licorice diving into the side of the team. He pops the watch barely to try and live, but again, Evi finds Blaber with fear beyond death, and Jensen does barely get a snipe onto Steel. He dances away, but I don't think he can go anywhere but the fountain. Jensen is going to live for a little while longer. There's the snipe from Yutapon with a Q to take down Irelia, and DFM will walk back to mid lane.
But still a good fight here from C9. They find 2 kills onto DFM, and they still have enough wave cut to try and hold against DFM. But with the damage from DFM, they secure themselves a tower. Will they get an inhib? It certainly looks like.
Yeah, that turret was not built to last in that situation. And he will also force C9. Don't feel confident enough to defend it. So Detonation focus me. Do get engaged on, do lose a few, but it's a trade and they still get what they came for.
Yeah, so while it did look pretty promising for C9 initially, you know, the way they set up that fight, the way they got through the front line, unfortunately, DFM, they still had the Baron buff. They still had enough damage to turn it around, and just keep your eyes on Evi and how much he hates Blaber. He literally has only ever used his ultimate on him, and he's just trying to stop him from using the ulti. And the Kindred has to use the ulti extremely early on, still ends up getting dragged out to his death. Meanwhile, on the back line, all 3 members get hit by the Ceros ulti. It's super difficult for C9 to really dive onto the back line just because of what Vivid is constantly doing. And because there's so much single target damage on the side of C9, whoever Jensen or Sneaky jump onto instantly get gobbled up and taken to safety. You also have the disengage ulti of Steel, and it's super obnoxious as C9 constantly try to dive onto the backline, try to get onto Ceros, try to get onto Yutapon, but they just can't do it. And meanwhile, Evi's just like, yeah, well, I'm just going to chug away onto your backline and just melt through whoever stands in front of me. And it's just enabling DFM to constantly come out in these fights.
I really love that point about ZHao ulti, because you usually don't think of his cooldowns as defensive ones, but working double duty here as DFM will zone C9 off this turret and easily take down that tier 2. C9 did sneak that Cloud Drake away, but not going to help them too much right now, because I think they're going to have to try and look for another engage angle. Jensen zips through that minion wave. More to deal with though. Again, super minions pressuring that mid deck as well.
Not taking any damage.
Yeah, Blaber is just going to force him away again.
Oh, look!
That's already the snipe. Quite able to land. 2 ults committed there to try and get the Kindred.
That was so close. But that's two big ultis. Oh no, the Yutapon still has his ulti available. This siege is a little harder. Here comes the
Licorice
crash.
in, 3-man route. They're sneaky straight to the back line. Trying to kill Yutapon. Jensen with a Vanguard dead. Gets a strong push across the wall, and Yutapon, he's still alive. Licorice, he just can't get the kill. Sneaky couldn't get it either. Steel does go down, but he zones off 3 members of Cloud9 as he does it, and Ceros killed Licorice in the end.
Another fight that initially looked so good for C9, but Vivid comes up huge. This man's Tahm Kench is a monster and just cannot be stopped, as every time C9 get close, Vivid ruins their day. Now, DFM back on the siege.
Yep, again, TP's in, very aggressive here, trying to finish off these structures. They will get that one. Inhib now exposed. Cloud9, will they pick a fight again? Jensen looking for it, but he's got no ultis, cooldowns.
Look at Zeyzal, look at Zeyzal.
So thin here for both sides, but DFM still with that lead. They're going to try and push in. They might overcommit here, but there's the passive from Ziggs. Zeyzal does get one onto Evi, but he's just so tanky that it doesn't really matter. And Zeyzal just dies to Ceros.
He's trying to buy time for C9, and while they won't lose their Nexus towers, they will lose another inhibitor. The Baron spawns in a minute 30, and DFM are set up perfectly for the respawn of that huge objective. Cloud9, the last time they were in the plains, they went undefeated. They were by far and away the strongest team in their group. This time around, DFM come out as the #1 seed from Japan and are challenging them beautifully. And just keep your eyes on Vivid. You can see Ceros gets targeted in the back line, and he's like, okay, who's in more danger? Well, he has the Zhonya's up and available. I'm just going to keep Ceros alive. He's the one that could die to Jensen. Instantly, he's out. And Seal's just buying time on the back line. And it was great use of the double Zhonyas to just buy time, and it allowed Vivid loads of time to just figure out, okay, who am I going to save? Who needs to get out of this dire situation? He ends up saving Ceros. Yutapon is able to stay alive thanks to the heal that Vivid had as well. I'm just so impressed by his Tahm Kench. And then, you know, you got to give respect to Evi as well, just kind of chugging away on the Urgot, doing what Urgot does. But it's you can see how difficult it is to see it, because like a lot of the ways in which they play these fights are solid. Like you can see their execution is good, but against the comp, it's just so hard.
Oh, Steel again, Vivid. Of course he's there to save him. And now Licorice once more going to force a self-ulti and get Satchel charged back in. What timing from Ceros? As Licorice forced to stop one. There's a good ult from Kindred, but Zeyzal now going to dive in, gets the pole. Jensen on the backside, sneaky there as well. They got Yutapon. They've got more C9. They found the fight they needed. They'll flash in. They want everyone, but Ceros will escape.
Fantastic team fight from Cloud9. Finally, they're able to get the execution off, and they will secure themselves the ban. Things were looking so dire, but Sneaky and Zeyzal come up huge as they find the team fight win.
Baron also could be theirs here. Second one of the game. First one went to Japan. This one goes to NA. And we talked about Cloud9 again, wanting to lean on Kaisa, lean on their team fight. Finally find a team fight that works for them.
And Licorice was the one that bought so much time this time around. You can see that he's kind of stuck in this awkward situation where he's CC'd up, uses the ultimate to heal up a little bit first, then the Zhonya's comes through, and then the Kindred ulti comes through. Now, all the ultis are gone from the side of DFM, but everything is up for C9. So Jensen dives onto the backline, Sneaky gets in on the flank, Evi can't really threaten anyone because he's surrounded by Cloud9 members, and everything just came together because DFM just threw everything without getting much on the back end. So Cloud9 finally finding themselves a huge team fight win and are now back in the game.
Yep, Spark of Life returning somewhat to the team. Gold lead actually cut almost completely down after that exchange. Still woefully behind in turrets, but that will mean the gold lead will catch up very quickly if they can siege those structures down. And again, with Baron still available for 2 minutes 30 and an Infernal Drake to play for. The third of this game, I might add, in 40 seconds. We have a very close game.
Yes, we certainly do. It's all going to come down to one big team fight, but you've also got to remember that there are a lot of towers still up and available for the side of Detonation Focus Me. Even if C9 win a fight, they might not be able to get all the way to the Nexus, so there's probably still a lot more of this game left to play if C9 want to be able to find themselves the win, but getting themselves this Baron should net them at least this outer tower. We'll see as they now set up for the siege.
Licorice again looking for the play onto Steel. He's the target. Maybe they're going to take the brunt of that initiation. And now Blaber again in danger of being ulted. He's dead. He tags in again. Blaber. Oh my god, he kills this now. He lived. He actually lived. Licorice now the next one to get a little too low.
And now C9 are forced to retreat, and let it be known that no one ultis Blaber 5 times in a row and gets away with it. The clutch QSS just in time to get away with his life. He gets the ulti down as well, and they will secure a tower and an Infernal Drake, but that was very close from C9. It almost resulted in another big teamfight win for DFM. Let's have a look back at this. You can see Steel is the one that slightly oversteps, is the one that gets chunked out initially, and he's just kind of forced away from the tower. Good ulti from him to mitigate a lot of the damage. We can see Blaber eats a lot of poke coming out from the side of Detonation Focus Me, and then the QSS at just the last second throws out the ulti too, and then Vivid can use his consume to take Evi to safety as well. Licorice also going down as well. Such close fights between the two teams.
Yeah,
as the Baron now, 40 seconds left.
Aftershock Lissandra, by the way.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
This Licorice is living in a lot of these situations.
Oh yeah, he's surprisingly tanky.
I noticed in the replay before that one, I'm like, why is it glowing? Realize that. It makes sense again, again, like you said, pick more for the utility. But Licorice has certainly been skirting the edge of death in a lot of these team fights. But Cloud9, they'll get away with that one. They'll try and take down the turret and retake the gold lead for the first time in a while in this game. Will do so successfully as they knock that one down. But again, not much of a gold lead here in this game. And Baron buff is about to time out. So we'll once again, 34 minutes in, we'll reset this one.
And this is one of the things you got to praise Cloud9 for. Even though they've been at a deficit, their farm has been very solid. You can see that Sneaky been getting over 10 farm per minute in the sense that he's 367 CS at the 34-minute mark, a 50 CS advantage in favor of Licorice, who is now level 18 to the level 16 of Evi. Blaber level 16 to the 15 of Steel as well. Jensen level 17 to the 16 of Ceros. All these level advantages combined with really good farm has kept the gold even though the tower advantage was massive in favor of Detonation Focus Me, and that allowed them to find some of these clutch late game fights. But even still, game still very close. We pretty much reset to even, and this is what we were talking about, right? For C9, there's still a lot of towers for them to get through. So even with the Baron, even if they found a successful fight, it's going to take them at least one more fight, one more Baron, maybe even the Elder if they want to be able to win out on this game. And that just means that Detonation Focus Me have many opportunities to find that one big fight, because there's only an inhibitor that stands in their way and the Nexus towers. So definitely in a better position to end off of a successful team fight.
And of all the games that I expected to be kind of very close and go longer than the average time, because it has been pretty quick today, this is not the one I would have picked. So kudos to both teams for playing it very close. And Detonation Focus Me showing many more colors than we may have expected here. Pushing C9 perhaps to the limit. We'll see what happens again. Still anyone's game. We can see the roller coaster we've been on in that gold grab. Not going to stop anytime soon. And
I think Sneaky's going to be the biggest factor in these fights. Level 17 now, has 4 items completed plus the boots. The late game Kaisa is definitely devastating, and we talked about the scaling potential for C9, their ability to team fight in the late game. They've already shown that their execution in team fights is very good, and now they're at a point where their champions are very, very strong. So definitely kind of starting to get the edge towards C9, but at the same time, Detonation Focus Me, a lot of poke on their side. When C9 is setting up around these objectives, there is the risk to eat a lot of these Ziggs bombs, eat the Q from the Varus poke, perhaps get chipped out by Evi as well. There's a lot of things that can kind of set DFM up for an initial start to the fight if the enemy team loses half their health.
But I think you might have summed up kind of one of Sneaky's biggest strengths in just a line there, because he is so reliable for this team, not just from his marksman play, but in how he leads and his experience, given how many times he has been to Worlds. He has never missed with this organization. Had a very strong Worlds last year as well, for a player that has often been unremarkable domestically. Somehow he gets it done. May do it here again on the Kaisa, but there are no guarantees in this game. That much I can tell you.
That's for sure. I cannot wait for the next team fight. As Baron spawns
Coming
in
up soon.
30 seconds. It's definitely going to be soon. Slow push in the bot lane. That means that a lot of farm is being lost for the side of Detonation Focus Me, and the lack of teleport for Evi I think is making it difficult, because you can see right now that because of a slow push, like a lot of red minion farm just kind of goes to waste, which means that no experience or no gold goes into the pocket of Evi, whereas Licorice is going to scoop all of it up. So he's just going to, he's already level 18, so that's not much of an advantage, but he is also going to get to spend a bit of extra gold. He can go back to base, he has the teleport as well. So definitely a big pickup there, and he's now almost 100 CS ahead of his top lane counterpart. With this wave pushing in, he knows he has TP, so he can join the rest of the team should a Baron fight kick off, and this is just another lane that they can start to threaten that Evi has to go and answer.
And Cloud9, I think, falling back to a lot of their experience here, just playing it kind of slow, wanting to get the lane set up and give themselves the best opportunity at that next major objective, but Evi is going to rotate himself down here and scoop up the wave now. Let Licorice Jig get pushed in. Depending on what page of his spellbook he's up to as well, may have teleport ready to go. I'm going to imagine so, given where he is on the map right now. And now Licorice is going to use, again, all that time and tempo to move his way back over. And the well-known Baron dance will continue for a while, I think.
BF sword has been picked up for Sneaky. I wonder if he goes for a GA or if he picks himself up a bit of extra damage. You can also see that final item on its way for Yutapon as Steel close to getting caught out there. Blaber just melting through the HP of it.
Yeah, again, Kindred not bad here as no devour up, I think, for Ceros. He's going to have to flash away, but he gets stunned. Jensen going to dive back in as Sneaky is able to grab the snipe. But he forced the cooldown from Vivid, and now Zeyzal forced to get away, but he's put into the grinder. Blaber, he saved him with an ulti! I didn't know he could do that!
Huge pick there for C9, and they end up losing nobody. And now Detonation Focus Me, they're the ones that are forced back. Remember that Baron is alive, and one of the big damage dealers in Ceros has been taken off the board. Elder Dragon is also alive. C9 not quite sure where to go for, so they're going to send Sneaky down. He's going to solo this one off while the 4 other members go towards Baron.
But how does Blaber get put in an I Die to Urgot ulti montage for 25 minutes in this game and then show so much knowledge about how the interactions work? But never mind, we'll worry about that later because Sneaky has been found out. Abyssal Voyage is going to move Vivid and Evi in, and they say, hey, buddy, thanks for the leash. We'll try and take this one away. And C9 are late to this fight. Evi, flash flip, they're in onto Sneaky. He kites it out of the way. He slowly flashes out, but he got caught. No QSS to save him this time, and Jensen's GA also going to get low as Licorice is trying to save the other end of this fight. He proto belts in. He's buying time. He's doing what he can. And he's not dead. He flashes out of the way, but the Elder Dragon is going over to Detonation Focus Me.
And what was a pick from C9 has now resulted in an Elder Drake going over to DFM. Sneaky is dead, the Baron is alive, and all 5 members of Detonation Focus Me are primed and ready to go. Pastry, this game, we said it was going to be close. I was not expecting it to be this close. Blaber, he now needs to be the hero for C9. Can he steal away the Baron? Can they stop this, or are they just going to give it away?
Well, DFM are starting it, and C9 may just think they don't have time to rush over there. Blaber was back towards the base, so that is going to be Baron number 3 over to Detonation Focus.
Oh my word. What a great game. So back and forth, and it starts off with hit. C9 splitting up. They send 4 members top. Well, they send 3 members top, 2 bot, but then DFM use Vivid's ulti to get all 4 members down towards the Elder faster. And then watch this flash in from Evi. Dives on to Sneaky and tries to burst him out. No flash from Sneaky means he gets chunked low enough for the ulti to secure the kill. Then the Guardian Angel comes out from Sneaky. Now, I like this from Yutapon because he gives away his GA to kind of keep Licorice busy. And while they're not quite able to find the kill, they end up trading GAs and they end up forcing him back. And now, Detonation Focus Me, they found themselves the Elder Drake, they found themselves the Baron. They've caught up in levels, they're pretty much full build. Both AD carries have picked themselves up an Infinity Edge. And now all it's about is grouping and fighting. Who is the better team fighter? Who can execute upon it as we approach the final moments of this game?
And I think if you asked before the game started, you would say Cloud9, a team that is known for their tenacity and their team fighting, but I am not sure. I will let this game decide for me at least early on.
And this would definitely be one of the big upsets of the plains if Detonation Focus Me can find the win. Here they are, they're on the inhibitor and it just disappears.
Still 25 seconds of mega power here with the Elder Dragon. They'll retake these 2 inhibs. I think C9 are correct in not looking for a fight, but what else will they get here? They're gonna just go for the throat. Nexus turret's now the next target. Licorice.
Look at the cannon minion.
Cannon is gonna get powered up here. Baron's still up for a long while.
Look at Licorice, he's looking for a flank from behind.
Thought he was going for a proxy, but it's quite the proxy here as he is going to look for the engage.
Going to be it. Here we go.
They pull the trigger. Nexus turret low. This may be it for Cloud9. They can't find it, but the leashation does look good. Licorice gets a 4-man root, and they'll dive into the backside of Yutapon. Is going to get disarmed. Jensen able to take him down, but Detonation Focus Me got them all so low. Sneaky, though, is able to live and take them all down. And that's an ace for Cloud9.
Cloud9, 5-0. Their base was in the sight of DFM, and they're able to pull off the fight. Pastry, we said it was going to come down to one final team fight. Expectations were that Cloud9 are the stronger team fight team, and they pull it off.
They've got a long way to run, though, and the wave is pretty late to catch them. Still at tier 2 for them to chew through here. I don't even know if they've got enough time.
I feel like they will be able to do it, Pastry. That's still 25 seconds on the death timers of anyone from DFM. You can see the frustration on their face, but Cloud9 should be able to make the comeback happen.
Looks like the time is just about right, as they will plow through. The wave catches up, and Cloud9 will mount the comeback, I suppose, to push themselves 2-0 in this group, and DFM did not make it easy.
And it all came down to one final fight. A fantastic flank from Licorice, getting onto 3 members, forcing such an early Zhonya's out from Ceros, is why they were able to find that win. Props to Cloud9, they did find the final fight, but DFM looking so good for so many parts of that game. The early game aggression, the team fighting in the mid game, the confident plays around Baron. DFM really challenging C9 and were only 2 Nexus towers away from finding themselves a win.
I think the look on Cloud9's face at the end of that game can be best described as bewildered. They did not expect that sort of challenge to be thrown at them, but they will go undefeated on the day. They'll keep their pretty clean record in Worlds play-in, looking good as they move forward with the week. And again, for Licorice, a player that has had an incredible rookie year, could only play carries, couldn't play tanks in spring. Then he started playing tanks. And it's just a player that's become more and more versatile and more confident.
Tank Lissandra.
Exactly. Now Tank Lissandra. We thought, you know, they're going to play through him. They're going to give him carries, especially somewhere like play-in, and just let him take over. But they switch it up. They finally give Jensen an assassin in what feels like an eternity. And Licorice still comes out looking good.
Oh, it was such a fun game. And, like, you got to give props to both. I feel Licorice and Sneaky in that final fight. Like, we talked about how the Kaisa was going to be pivotal in finding the final fight win. He dives onto the backline the moment that Lissandra lands the 3-man ult, and they just melt through them. You have an Irelia coming at you from the front, a Kaisa from the back, a Lissandra from the side, and that was like the best case scenario for C9, and that's where they got the 5-0. And if it wasn't a 5-0, they might not have been able to end the game, but they were able to pull it off. And like, you kind of feel bad for DFM because they had everything, you know, but that just goes to show the experience that some of the C9 members do have and their ability to team fight. What a great game. I'm looking forward to the rematch already.
I mean, it's only been 2 games, so Detonation focused me, and I think teams have learned a lot. I think the #1 rule now has to be, please ban Tahm Kench away from Vivid.
Yeah,
he's way too good at that champion.
The champion fits too much into their style, and like it's also very forgiving. So for Detonation Focus Me, who may make a couple of mistakes, like maybe they overstep, maybe they get caught out, a champion like Tahm Kench is perfect for kind of correcting those mistakes and then turning it around in your favor.
Well, certainly did it a lot, but it was not enough to pick up the win. So for more on how Cloud9 did to get their victory, let's get a breakdown from the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Pastry. There is so much to unpack in this one, where in the end, C9 just grabs that victory. But man, was it hard fought. So I just want to start with the final fight, where it looked like C9 was to lose that game. Their Nexus was under siege, and Licorice with that flank.
And the big thing was there was actually a pink ward exactly where he flanked from, and you can kind of just see the excitement for DFM getting ahead of themselves. They were so focused on satchel charging that turret once it got low enough from the cannon creep. They have no idea this is coming in, and then this is the exact engage that they had kind of been looking for all game long.
Yeah, the soul exhaust there on the Urgot. Couldn't get it down, and even still, damage been done. Self-ulti, and then Ziggs was sitting there. The moment he comes out of the Zhonya's, he was just bursted down. Just really unfortunate there.
And I gotta say, following kind of story of the game, redemption for Licorice and Blaber, some of the guys that dropped the ball a bit in this game. I think we have to be fair, but as the second half of the game got on the rails and in this fight, they do show their worth.
It was definitely a game where you could kind of feel C9 learning as they went, where it's like, oh My God, this is really annoying to try and play Kindred into Urgot, and we just saw time and time again Blaber getting punished.
I'm just heartbroken, man. I felt like,
Yeah.
give it to them. Just give them the game. They played so damn well. What the hell? Like, at every point, and just going into the pick and ban, because the one thing that I want to make a point of.
I love how you just calm down. You're like,
look, I gotta calm
okay.
down. We have a long segment, so for me, the two picks that I want to see a little bit more often at the supports were Braum and Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench comes through once again for Vivid. Good call out from PastryTime. Ban it away from her. Don't pick the burst poke champs, like specifically Lissandra. Don't pick the Lissandra into the Tahm Kench. You can't get a lot of the engages off where it's just going to feel very awkward.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 points there, too. Also, just C9's general playstyle, when you put Blaber on Kindred, you're seeing things like Galio come in, which they potentially could have taken here, and instead they go for this double dive comp after, like you said, already seeing the Tahm Kench. Like, you're picking Irelia, Lissandra to try and burst someone. They already have defensive tools, and then the Ziggs comes in, which is like, dive on me, I'll drop all my damage and back off.
Yeah, immediately you said when that came out, well, usually Blaber and Jensen together, we put more of the carry jungler on Blaber. That means we'll get something controlling out of Jensen. What's your kind of vision on why they chose this approach in this game? And is this something you expect to see more from them going forward?
I think it was 2 things. One, trying to branch out, like actually having an active idea that like we don't just want to take Galio here or something like that potentially, as well as or maybe a bit of hubris in a sense, where you really do think that like you can style on a Ziggs with an Irelia. You think, okay, I'll get a solo kill at 6. They never got the solo kill. They never really snowballed the Irelia mid, which is what I think they were hoping to do.
Yeah.
I think that Ceros is actually playing fairly well in the lane.
Definitely
You can get the
so.
1v1 kills.
Bit of a wacky pick, I would say.
Yes, but still getting, and remember, this is a really rough matchup. I would say for Ziggs, even though you have the range and damage, the biggest problem is the setup for Irelia is so damn strong, especially with the stun she can set it up. That's how usually the 1v1 skill come through. But this time around, he was always walking forward, coming past it. So Jensen was actually always just that close off of it.
Well, let's take a look at one of those engages and how DetonatioN focused it around, because even though they lost this game, they won most of these team fights in the early parts and even the mid parts of the game.
I would say a large portion of this game, DFM played better than C9, straight up. And this is one of them where he's able to, Evi's able to go 1v3 and effectively snipe them out of the back line. Licorice is doing a bit of a zoning ultimate there, not locking anyone down. And by the time they start recollapsing again, you know, DFM has mostly won this fight. And this is how a lot of these engagements looked, with Blaber dying to Evi, who was in the middle of the enemy team. And C9 didn't have the damage off a full build Kaisa yet to chunk through that very tanky Urgot.
It took until 27 minutes before the QSS was built up by the Kindred, so wasn't able to deal with the Urgot ultimate every single time you get pulled out. Well, guess what? It's useless that he wasn't being able to put down his own ulti down.
Yeah, and it did look like C9 was trying to, as you say, learn as they went. The composition turned out to be a lot more difficult with the fact that the Tahm Kench was saving on, with the fact that Urgot was sniping out those targets. And by 30 minutes in the game, it seemed like it clicked for C9. They took control of the game back in some very interesting team fights. All credit to them to doing that. So let's take a look at some of those and also look at the MasterCard player of the game that helped mount that comeback, rather. Sneaky, the guy, the rock who we talked about for C9 was there.
And kind of following up on this dive comp that they have, Kaisa, as much as people talk about being a hyper carry, is really good at going in on backlines once they expend a lot of CC, and that's exactly what happened, where they get really baited onto Licorice. The Kindred ult comes in, a big Irelia ult allows Sneaky to kind of dive into that backline and start dropping all that damage.
Yeah, the dive threat really came through. Ceros' awkward position. He has to back up and away. The moment Irelia dives forward, gives it good timing for Sneaky. So there were a lot of moments where Sneaky was able to just jump right in. He picked the perfect time, being able to be that janitor in the fights.
We do have a word with Blaber coming up in just a little bit, just to button up this game. We were talking, and Mark, I don't want to throw you under the bus completely, but you were panicking a bit when everything came out. You were fully panicking.
No, I love this game. There were a number of things that shut me up pretty quick. I think one was me saying, like, I don't know if Evi wants to take the skill matchup versus Licorice. He did.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit rough in lane early on, but then he really played well throughout the game. And then C9's decision-making was really questionable. And over the course of the game, I think you really did see the rookie inexperience be a big problem for them.
I think that's a good point. I mean, one of the things we also wanted to mention later on is also where C9 wins the fight, then they look like they can go for Baron, but they get Sneaky to start the Elder Drake, and then they end up being collapsed on. So in terms of both decision-making in team fights and further, they have Reaper has something to work with here.
There was a shot of Reaper during this game.
My
He was
God.
like, they are getting the belt after this one.
Now, I also don't want to be too negative because they're still 2-0. They're topping their group, and we did have some question marks about the rookies, and maybe it's good they get the jitters out now.
Yeah, they needed to learn these lessons before they got into a group stage setting,
Yeah.
if they can get this. So that's the second win. Congratulations for them on the day.
Uh-huh.
But these lessons are harsh. You need to learn them. And it was great that Detonation Focus Me was honestly the teacher here today.
Well, on the same page, this is actually where I wanted to give some praise to Detonation Focus Me as well, because they won for a lot of this game. Maybe the experience in the end wasn't enough for them to finish it. However, they should be positive going into their next set of games in 2 days.
I think that they really solidified themselves, in my mind, as the #2 team in this group. I do still think C9 is better, but Detonation showed that it's really not that large of a difference between the two. And then they also got their win earlier against Kaboom. So I think they looked really good in this game. They looked pretty good against Kaboom, and they look like the odds favorite to get out as the second seed, most likely.
Yeah, I want to see what happens in the day between to see what Kaboom actually works out, because just being able to watch the tape of what happened here, where Detonation Focus Me looked very clearly going to be taking the second victory. It didn't happen, obviously, but for Kaboom, a few beads of sweat of being, for the next few days, you're going to have these nightmares.
Oh, this is going to be rough for Kaboom. They're 0-2 in Detonation Focus Me and C9. Both look a lot stronger than them so far, so we're going to have to see how that evolves. Right now, it feels like we're going to see Detonation Focus Me and C9 in the best of 5s.
Most likely, I think Detonation Focus Me, we talked a lot about like their unique style. It helped them in the Kaboom game with the Karma mid, and then this time the Ziggs felt like, hey, we play Assassins into Ziggs and it'll work out. And then you're not as practiced on killing Ziggs as Ziggs is at surviving against Assassins. So I think Detonation having their own style is a huge part, especially early on in the tournament before people have time to watch it and getting early wins.
Hey, who knows? Maybe it comes down to a Detonation Focus Me Cloud9 rematch for the #1 spot. Are you willing to say that Cloud9 is 100% getting #1 here?
I'm all right. Yeah, I mean, he's taking some time because he obviously has to, take in what already happened in the last game. 100%. Like, I think Cloud9, sure, they're learning lessons, and in fact, the second game looked a little bit worse than the first game, but ultimately, they just have strong players, creative players. The fact that they were able to find this game after what was like the Baron buff, Elder Dragon going onto your Nexus tower, still being able to find the team fight, that's a level of creativity where you have to respect them even at a massive deficit. I'd have them coming out. Either they have a stronger early game or they can come back later.
Well, we gave them enough time. Yes or no?
Yeah, I think for sure. Now that they're already 2-0, it's a lot easier to get out as #1 seed.
Okay, well, we do have an interview with Blaber coming up very quickly. They're just setting up for that right now. So let's maybe get back to that topic of the rookie performances so far today, if you'd have to sum it up for C9.
A lot of this looked to me like they hadn't really practiced Kindred into Urgot. I'm not sure 100% that you should be buying QSS as your second item after completing your jungle upgrade. Really made a good case for this game, I think, that like if you stop the Urgot from being able to ult you, you can always save who else he ults. So I think that's something they can take in the next game.
Okay, room for improvement. I do hear the interview's ready. So Averly is standing by with Blaber. Let's take a look.
I'm here with Cloud9's jungler Blaber, who just finished his first day of play-ins 2-0, but that last game against Detonation Focus Me, that was a lot closer than almost anyone would have guessed. So what did you really think of that match?
I mean, they're a really good team. I think we played pretty poorly compared to how we normally play, me especially. I definitely think I could play a lot better. I got caught a lot mid-game, and I called for the Rift Herald, which was bad. But I'm really happy that we were able to claw back. Even though we were behind early game, we were still able to win late game through good team fighting.
So how are you guys really able to claw your way back, like you said, and who was leading the charge behind you guys?
I don't think it was a group effort. We all said that like this game is still winnable, but Licorice had some really good flanks on Lissandra, and he was calling for a lot of those. So I definitely think that helped in our win, for a comeback at least.
And these are high-pressure games. You're at Worlds. This is play-ins. This is the big stage. So for a rookie like yourself, what's going through your head during these moments?
I definitely felt really nervous today compared to normal. It's sort of how I felt in my TSM series for semifinals. But I'm just trying to do my best at Worlds and try to get our team into the group stage.
Well, you've overcome it and you took the win. I want to mention one thing. The casters kind of mentioned that you have these moments where it looks like you turn your brain off and you go in for an aggressive play. But then there are these moments where you have those clutch Kindred ults like in that last game. So what do you think of your own performance?
Personally, I think today I didn't play too well. like I said, I got caught up at Urgot mid game, and then I bought a QSS, so I was able to QSS the Urgot ult. But I tried to like tank a lot of the Urgot ults, I guess, early game. But I should just ult my teammates because I can't ult myself when he pulls me. So not really sure what's going through my head sometimes, but yeah.
Well, you have a couple days to figure out for the rematches. You feeling confident going into those?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident going into the games in 2 days, I think. Yeah. So I think we'll win.
Well, Blaber, congratulations again, and thank you.